Alright folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews. So it's the fourth day continuing of the Virginia Film Festival, and I just got out of seeing Harriet. And this is written and directed by Casey Lemmings, who's primarily responsible for so many years ago a film called East Bayou. And this film has been several years trying to get off the ground, at least at one point. Viola Davis was interested in making a Harriet Tubman film, and they've been trying to make various Harriet Tubman projects in the works for a while. There was a show called Underground that ran for 2 seasons, and in which the second season, Harriet Tubman did show up, and I think at least in one episode, all she gave was a monologue, and now it's consistently an entire episode. So after the vice provost came out and gave his opening remarks, he handed it off to he was the head of the Virginia Film Office, and he was saying that, oh yeah, he got a call one day from a wrangler of horses. He primarily dealt in film wrangling of horses, and he basically said, oh yeah, they're scouting areas for the Harriet Tubman biopic in upstate New York, and he was like, God, you're breaking my heart here. Get me the name of the main producer on the line so I can convince him to shoot him in Virginia. And so he was able to. And he got in touch with the producer, and he was like, yeah, this budget is breaking my back here. I don't know if we can shoot here possibly. And basically it says, come to Virginia here. And basically, 7 days later, Casey Lemmings came to Virginia. 2 days later, they began shooting, or they agreed to shoot here. And apparently the governor's wife was here because, oh yeah, the governor, sadly here in Virginia, was caught doing blackface. And so with this film here, Cynthia Viro, who was on, I think she was Celia on The Color Purple, gives real grace to Harriet Tubman. And this takes place in 20 some odd years of her life, basically, and she escapes the farm where her family is being held in bondage. And her father is like, oh, I hired a lawyer, and the owner is like, you hired a lawyer, boy? One of the children here is played by Joe Alwyn, who you've been seeing him a lot, particularly in, I think, Boy Erased, Mary Queen of Scots. And he plays the plantation owner's son, who basically becomes head of the family and has to manage the slaves. Now, of course, obviously, Harriet Tubman runs away. She is successful, and of course, she escapes in the dead of night, and her husband was trying to wait for her. And of course, she has to jump off a bridge. And I have no doubt that's possibly true. She finally is able to get to Philadelphia, and where she meets William Still, played by Leslie Odom Jr. of Hamilton fame. There's a Henry Lloyd Garrison cameo here by the guy who's playing him. Also, there's probably a cameo of Frederick Douglass as well. Again, she gets a job at a boarding house where she meets this woman who owns a boarding house, and it's like, you would think to yourself, shouldn't there be more conflict between those people who were slaves and those who weren't? Because, hey, look, your life is cheap. And obviously she's like, I need to go back and get my family. She tries to go get her husband. That doesn't turn out all that great. She then goes and retrieves her family. Like, here's my main problem with this film, is that I would love to have seen more of how the Underground Railroad works. I have no doubt that it was influential in trying to get slaves out of what they were trying to deal with, but I would love to see more of the inner workings of the Underground Railroad, other than, okay, here's a couple of places and here's a meeting between some abolitionists. And Cynthia Viro, let me just say, I think she does an amazing job of portraying this woman. Cynthia Viro is actually the same height as Harriet Tubman was, and people are calling her Moses. Now, the one interesting thing that I do have about this film that I would like to be further explored upon is, oh yeah, she has visions, and oh, she has a cracked head. Basically, when people meet her, they're like, okay, this woman has visions. Wouldn't there be a little more pushback, even though, yes, this woman is trying to get you away from slavery? And granted, if there are Harriet Tubman descendants out there, you would probably love this biopic as well. Now, granted, this is a classy and reverent biopic, nothing more, nothing less. Nothing will ever be 12 Years a Slave. 12 Years a Slave is in a class of its own, in which it really showed you the evils of slavery. This, again, clearly slavery is bad. It shows you the whoopbacks and obviously the comings on to white males over the black female servants and obviously the threats that go along with that. It does show you that one moment in her Civil War career when she helped liberate a whole bunch of slaves. But again, I believe a good chunk of these people, at least particularly among the slaves, were all composite characters of actual people that she did meet, particularly two black people, one of whom is a mean brute, and the other one is like, hey, I'm willing to do things for favors here. Now, some black people try to survive by ratting out other black people. How they manage to live through that. It's a cruel way to live, but hey, look, it needs to get done. So in the end, folks, what I'm going to say about Harriet, this is a classy biopic, as I keep repeating myself. So I'm going to give this a matinee rating. Clearly, this will be playing next week. So, folks, I'm currently on Twitter at MichaelRich at RichReviews2. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, enrich yourself with knowledge. I'll see you next time, folks. Yes, hooray. Thank you. Bye.